Hi, welcome back to the next chapter in the build of the FW190, and this is going to be a short video. I appreciate that the last chapter was quite a long one, half an hour, but this one's going to be a short one, and this just finishes off the, if you like, the construction of the front end of the fuse, which is namely putting on the thin ply cowl ring. So over to the workbench. Now I know that the thin ply that's provided is very flexible, but it's also, when it's put in place, it's got to be held in place against these rails, because that's where the end of the ring comes to. If you think about it, it's going to bend through to there. And yes, you can clamp it in place, and it will be clamped in place, but to assist in doing so, one thing you may like to do is to just, as I've done here, just damp the outside of the ply and then just curl it round to a ring that's slightly tighter than where it's going to go. And then what I'm going to do is hold the ends in place with a couple of clamps there and let that dry. Once it's dry, it will be semi-shaped to the curve to put it on the front of the fuselage. So I'll come back when that's dry. Let's have a look at it now that it's dry. I sped up the drying process by actually putting it on a radiator. I warn against putting it in the airing cupboard unless you live on your own. So as you can see, it's got a bit of a shape. I'm not expecting it to be perfectly round. I'm not worried about that. The main thing is it's taken some of the tension out of the straight, so it's going to make it easier to attach to the fuselage. Another thing to note is a slight curve on the cut, and the longer of the two goes to the back. You'll see, you try to fit it the other way and it just won't fit. It won't appear to be long enough. Plonk that in place, and it's going to be roughly, I'll say roughly, it's going to go to the edge of the small balsa strips we put there. So I'm just going to put some clips just to temporarily hold it in place. All I'm doing is just seeing what trimming needs to be done, if at all, to it before we attempt to glue it. Let's just roll the fuselage round, making sure that the ply, what we're looking to do is to go up tight with the ply against the fuselage side there and flush with the former F2. That's not a bad fit. In fact, it's a very, very good fit. Well done, Richard. Well, Phil, actually, in terms of cutting. So that's coming up onto the edge of the balsa strip here. If it doesn't, just keep playing around with it, getting it into position 100% tight against the formers as it comes against the former as it bends round. It's going to be difficult to hold it in place. We've got the vents at the back of F2 where I can put a clip in there to hold it. And really what I should have done was put one in there first of all, in this side. These clips, by the way, are really useful, small clips. I have a variety of them, clips, ranging from that size through to that, twice the size of this, and G-clamps, all come in very useful, which if you purchase over a period of time will certainly assist you when you're doing jobs like this. So let me just take that clip off there. Again, feed that ply in, make sure it's tight against the former. Come up to the top again, and look at that, superb. Yes, it will require a bit of trimming. I'm not worried about that. The main thing I know is that it comes through to the edge of those balsa strips, which is great. The front edge will also have to be sanded back so that the cowl ring can fit on there. And of course I can't sand it back here because I've got my tongue, balsa tongue going through there. So I'm just marking on there and there where that needs to come back, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and sand it back there so that when it comes to fitting it to the ring, that's already sanded back to that position. Right, and I'll do that offline. So a little while later, that's all glued up and all clamped into place. Loads of clamps everywhere, more the merrier really. But of course you don't have to use clamps. Masking tape wrapped round would be perfectly adequate as well, or pinning through, whatever you can do to hold those in place is absolutely fine. Okay, so now we will let that dry for a few hours till it's gone off. By the way, I've used Gorilla Glue PVA on that, and to help me I poured a glob of it into this tray, which I'm now going to put the glue back in the bottle.